AkronHipHop.com, the Reporter NewspaperOnline.com. It's your boy Cat Israel with another episode of Yes We Can, Cat Israel Political Adventures. I want to talk about something that's really intimate when it comes to an event. As I was reflecting on these vlogs, I remember a major event that happened in August 14, 2013. It was an event with Mayors Against Gun Violence, actually Mayors Against Illegal Guns. And it was downtown Akron, right by the homeless shelter off of East Market Street. Mayor Don Pasquillic at the time was mayor at the time. He led the event with Warrensville Heights Mayor Brad Sellers. Around that time, it was real thick on gun violence prevention, gun control, and for me, it was kind of intimate because I agree to gun control to a certain extent, but I'm also pro-gun. That event, you had a lot of protesters, counter-protesters at that event that had, AR-15s and open carry weapons, with, extended magazines, and they looked real intimidating. But that day was unique because around that time, Chardon High School had a shooting, if I remember right, and one of the victims actually spoke at the event. He was in a wheelchair. And what he said at the event was kind of touching to a point. For me, it was very, how can I say, it's different when you see a gun violence victim in person rather than you see them on TV. Because when you actually see them in person and see the devastation that firearms do to people, it gives you a different perspective from a different point of view. I was in the crowd that day behind the speaking post while they were speaking their piece about the issue. During that year, I did a lot of gun violence events. Matter of fact, the whole year 2013, even when I started February 22nd, 2013, majority of the events that I was a part of was literally gun violence prevention. It was nuts. Even though at that time I didn't take a major position in organizing for action when it came to being chapter leads or gun violence prevention lead, at that time I was led by someone else that dealt with gun violence prevention. So I pretty much followed their lead. I want to speak on firearms in particular when it comes to the African American community and municipalities. One of the big issues right now that we deal with is that a lot of criminals carry what they call assault weapons, which is like your AK-47s, your AR-15s, your Uzis, Mac 11s, however you want to name them. The issue for me is that when it comes to gun control, it's the rounds that I worry about when it comes to dealing with self-defense, defending your home, your family, and yourself. When you're shooting, for example, an AK-47, the round it shoots is a 7.62 by 3.9. It's a pretty big bullet. Not too big, but it's pretty big, and it has a lot of velocity, which velocity means that the bullet goes at a high rate of speed. If I remember right, maybe about 3,000 feet per second. So when you're defending yourself against this weapon, with this weapon, you have a tendency of over penetration, which means when you shoot the suspect or the criminal, the bullet can actually travel through the criminal and actually hit someone else. This bullet is notorious for going through wood, any houses. It can shred a house like Swiss cheese. You can shoot through a house, that bullet travel through another house and another house. I remember it was an article in Cleveland where it was like some kind of shootout where one of the bullets from an AK-47 actually went through 10 houses. 10. That's a lot of houses for one bullet to travel through. That can hit anybody and keep going. So even with the AR-15, 5.56, you have those similar ballistics where that round can overpenetrate who you're trying to hit and actually hit someone innocent. That's the issue that I have with assault weapons. Now, high capacity magazines, that's to be argued. In my opinion, when they made high capacity magazines, it was made for law enforcement, military, security personnel. When it comes to concealed carry, in my opinion, I don't think you need 17 rounds to carry on your person to actually defend yourself. Not at one time. Think about this. When you're carrying, for example, like a Glock 17, that's a pretty big gun. About 4.5 inches barrel, 17 rounds in a magazine. When you're carrying that around, studies show that you actually get fatter the heavier weapons that you carry. I know from my personal experience, it was true. So it made me carry lighter weapons, like 38 Specials would shoot 5 rounds. You're carrying a snub, or Smith & Wesson Shield shoot 6-7 rounds with 9mm. Then you can buy certain ammunition that prevents overpenetration. So, in saying that, Mayors Against Legal Guns was ran by presidential candidate Michael Bloomberg. Shout out to Michael Bloomberg. He came to Akron not too long ago. And him being a New York City mayor, there's a lot of controversy of how they deal with gun violence, but I think the narrative shows that maybe we don't need heavy firepower in a community where it kind of lowers the value now on housing, not just housing, but just the quality of life. I mean, nobody wants to face those type of weapons in the streets. I mean, I don't want to be in my home and someone with an AK-47 try to rob me or do harm to me because, I don't want to get hit with a 7.62 x 39 bullet. I mean, you can ask any doctor that does trauma when they come into hospitals. It's a devastating wound. I mean, to the body, it creates large cavities of wounds. So the quality of life, if you survive the shot, is going to be lowered. If you survive. And law enforcement and security personnel facing these type of weapons in the streets, it creates a greater risk of police officers getting shot and killed. So in saying that, for me, 2013 was a big year for me because I had to face my own beliefs going through that time period where I had to compromise even on my own pro-gun stance. Because I understood that certain weapons doesn't belong on the streets. Now, that's just my opinion. There's a lot of controversy in this. But if you want to protect yourselves, get a smaller caliber weapon, 9mm, maybe a 45, and maybe a shotgun. That's pretty much all you need. But don't try to play hero, do things, go overboard and defending yourself because, there's rules and regulations with a high revised code and carry concealed weapons laws that you need to study and know what you're doing before, hopefully, that if you don't get in this event, take that action. So, that event on the 14th of 2013, it kind of made me not do politics as much. I took like what can you call it? I had to look within myself, and at that time, I started going to church around September of that year, and I went to Liberty Tabernacle, and I kind of found God after that event because me thinking about the charging students, me thinking about myself, me being in the music business, and how the music business creates an environment of no moral code. In my opinion, I don't think there's a moral code in the music business. And I'm not knocking anybody.
You're talking even beyond rap, right?
Oh yeah, I think it's
all over the place.
It's all over the place. Just in media, TV shows, movies.
I'm talking about with the rock music as well.
Oh yeah, rock music. Drug culture.
Right.
And
I didn't mean to cut.
No, you already know that's what we do. But I want to entail that. Me having that pro-gun stance, I was kind of influenced with the music, being in the music business at the time. So that's one of the reasons why I went to Liberty Tabernacle in the first place, and Pastor Risby Shout out to Pastor Risby. And I stayed there until I got rebaptized because I felt like the negative energy was literally taking over my soul, like my heart, and it was blinding me to not have love in my heart. I mean, to me at that time, my heart was kind of cold. So I was warming up a little bit in the political game, but I really didn't truly change until I went to church. Now, that was just my road to recovery, I should say. But that day really impacted my life, you know. That's not including blowing my knee out. I had a torn MCL around the same month, like a couple of weeks after that event, actually. So, you know, going through all those medications and stuff, it really made me want to come back to politics in 2014 to really, truly change. And hopefully people get this particular vlog is to, hey, put the weapons down, seriously. I mean, there's a big impact on gun violence when it comes to the black community. You know, people losing their sons, daughters, babies, fathers, uncles. They have to bury these people. Then they have to live without them for the rest of their lives. And it creates a void in black families. So, hey, put the guns down. You know what I'm saying? Try to find other means to resolve problems and issues within your black community. And that's pretty much it on this vlog. So this is Cat Israel, politically speaking, I'm tripping.
You were speaking politically, though.
I was speaking politically, though. But it's Cat Israel's Political Adventures. Yes, we can.